Yeah, so from here, where should I go? Over there. Pull request,
Yeah,
right?
go to pull request,
Yeah.
create a new pull request,
Okay.
create pull request.
Yes.
Yeah, just give out laser pro. Sorry, what is your project? Notary. Notary change is completed.
Yeah. Create request.
Yeah, create a pull request.
Yes.
And this is done. So let me share my screen and I will accept it.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
So here you go. So this is my GitHub.
Yeah.
I have 9 pull requests. So let's accept one. Notary completed. So checks are completed. So I'm just starting. So if you can see, create RPA tutorials txt, modified RPA code. So all these are your commits previously.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And then this is merged. Let's check with others as well. Commit locator, valid. Okay. Satish. So Satish is checking with Karthik's items. So he's having these issues. Satish, what you need to do is you need to go to your code and delete these items or revert the changes. Okay, Satish, you there? So this is fine. Yes. Squash and merge. Minor changes is what I need for this to be updated. Okay, and yeah, this is not having any issues. Notary test scenarios. Squash and merge. Server. So again, for Satish, again, you have, okay, I've already given that. Server 351. Okay. I think even this will have the same error. Let's see. Okay, this is not having any com.
तेरे पास कौन मोबाइल बोला था कि दे देंगे
Is someone speaking? Okay, let's just close it. So everything is done. I'll just go ahead and make a pull request. So once the changes are completed or fetched, so all I need is I need to go to RP developer in 30 days. First, I need to fetch what are the changes that are available by others before I start my work any day. So there are only 5 members who know RE framework. Can I confirm that others don't know?
Yes.
Great. Okay, the fetch is completed and let's see in the show in Explorer. Okay, nice. And team 7. So is this notary services code?
Yes, yes, Bajrang. But in the Git, I am not able to see right now.
I think you need to do a upstream, fetch upstream, then you will be able to see it.
Yeah, I have done clicked on fetch stream and then fetch and merge. Still, I am not able to see.
So is this, so whatever I'm sharing the code, is this your code or not?
Yeah, is this my code? Correct. Yeah, yes,
Okay.
it is my code.
Let's work on the code and complete it, then we'll check with questions. Okay. So here we'll also, let's open the files. In this, open the notes. Okay. Some activities are missing. Notary services. What kind of activities have you used? Do you have deployment sheet? Vineet,
No, Bajrang.
why don't you have deployment sheet? Then how can I find what activities are being used and uh, what are the levels of it? Ambika, haven't you checked this?
Like they gave the code to the tester and tester actually executed it. Deployment sheet already we had a reference, right? So we just created in the orchestrator as such.
But that's fine. But
Yeah,
now I'm
yeah,
missing with this invalid activity.
yes.
Which activity should I go ahead and download?
Bajrang, can you open add items to queue and get queue items?
Add items to queue.
Yeah, and get queue items. So these two are the file I'm using. I'm currently storing the data in the queue and I'm calling it from there. I don't know why it is not visible here.
So even this is having errors, though they are ignored.
So why it is showing like the activity is not available?
Because the package versions are not available. See, Excel I have 2.11.4 that is there in my local machine.
Okay.
Okay. And this is what? This is 21.10.5. What is the version of packages are you using? That was the issue. So let me just delete all the things.
Okay.
Delete, delete. And see, Ambika, if you are getting anything with commented out, just don't test it.
Okay.
Okay. So any code, developer may have it or may say that, okay, this is not used now, but used later. So in production, you don't have the comment out activities. So can I delete main file?
Yes. So I'm actually using add queue and get queue only.
So all these things need to be checked. Okay, the video is getting recorded. So Ambika, can you please write down or others also all the testers I want. I want the testers to be main here. So see, if the files are not getting used, then why are they available in the code?
Vajram, first they gave me main XML, so after that they do some adding queues and everything, enhancements for the code.
Exactly. See, that's what will happen, right? Now you will test something and they will give you something else. That's how projects will fail or the deployments will fail. If there is one commit that's done, then they should not do any changes until and unless the testing is completed, or else you should not do the testing.
Okay.
Okay, here we have and Q2 Excel data. So what is this Q2 Excel?
No, this is not the file. Yeah, this is the file Excel we are using.
But what is this code?
I don't know. I think I have added something extra in this. Okay, it is Arif framework. Okay, I was actually trying to convert it, but it has not yet completed.
Great.
So it is not done. So I'll. But as of now, that add queue and get queue is only the main file.
So are you saying that this is the dispatcher and this is a performer?
Exactly. That is adding correct. Yes.
Rename. So this is notary dispatcher. Notary performer. Okay. So now we have two files. Let's just run the dispatcher. Do we need to have a queue name for here? Why do we have this bulk queue items without connection?
No, actually, I was trying to add it, but I was not able. You can remove it. So there is a two file if you see there. So the second file, if you open, so the data is already there. So we need to remove it before running that file. Yeah. I mean, we need to, empty that file. We don't need to remove it.
So what's there in this?
Yeah, this is the data that we are fetching from, this is our end result that we have to fetch transaction number and put it in the Excel file.
Okay. So aren't you deleting it in the code while checking?
No, actually.
So that's a
So,
wrong practice, right? Why someone will sit and delete your code, they'll delete your files in the production.
okay.
So what is this postpone?
This is the dates. Actually, I was trying, I was going through some videos where I was trying that deadline and postpone the dates. They were showing something like after 2 hours, you have to run these projects when this bots needs to be run for those concepts.
Got it. So what
Yeah.
is the queue name over here?
So my key name is node queue.
Okay. So guys, please remember or please check. If you add anything in static, if you move to other machine, okay, now I want instead of node queue, I want notary queue. Okay, how much time will it take if it is in production? See, production deployment is not as simple as just going and moving the code from one machine to other machine. There are restrictions and there are approvals required. Okay, so multi-bot concept. So this is yesterday. Did everyone got the video in their emails yesterday?
Yes.
So this is 23. Code correction and RE framework conversion. Okay, see what are the steps that we normally do for approval process. Every stage, let's go ahead and do it. First, initialization state, or you can say, where are the steps that we have written? Yeah, discovery, testing, analysis phase. Vendor change request. So everything we are coming back to the life cycle and we are doing it. So just remember that. Okay. So initialization, process and process. Okay. Not this one, not this one. Analysis, yeah. Copy. Okay. For each and every phase, we need to have approvals. Okay. Analysis phase, Okay, now we have created PDD, process flows, and task capture. Who should approve it?
Solution architect.
Okay, and
BA.
BA,
Dev lead.
dev lead. Okay, then client, because client or business user is the one who is looking at our code. Is it right? Or who requires this particular code to be executed?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so approval should be done by everyone. Okay, now here in the development, we have completed the code. Who should approve this?
Team lead.
First, developer. Developer should commit that he
Okay.
completed the code. Okay, dev lead. Okay, and then solution architect. So client need not involve in development. Okay, now here deployment approvals. Who should give it?
Well, the tester,
Tester.
test lead,
Okay,
um, but also would involve
solution
someone else
architect
from solution architect, but also
and
yeah,
business analyst.
yeah.
So why business analyst? Because business analyst brought up your requirement and he will also check whether all the test cases are met or not. Whatever the client requirements are there, are they met or not? Now in the deployment, who should give the approval? Client must be informed that dev and testing of all scenarios are completed. Client provides approval by looking at all test scenarios. See, client cannot check the code. He will not understand. But he can just understand plain English test cases, which our testers are writing right now. Okay. Client provides approval. So even before client, guys, please go on mute. Tejeshwar. Thanks. So before client, who will approve it within our team? It should be by everyone. BA, a solution architect, dev, test team. Okay. And everyone, all the teams approves, only then it should go for further into deployment. Okay. So see how many levels of approvals are we making. First, we have created a PDD and went for an approval and said that, okay, these are the only steps that we are working on. There are no more steps. Please provide your approval. So after the approval is completed, you should not change anything in the PDD. If you are changing anything on the PDD, then you should go back and get it reviewed. Are you getting the points? So let's assume that this happened to me and some of my colleagues as well. So the deployment date was, let's assume the deployment date is 24th. Okay, now everything is done. Client also checked, but we stopped the deployment. So what can be the reason for that? This is an important question when someone asks you what are the issues you faced while working on the code and how did you resolve it. So I'm not talking about writing a code is an issue. There are multiple other factors that are coming in and stating that you are not ready for deployment. So what is that?
High severity defects.
Sorry,
High severity defects,
what are those high severity defects?
which is impacting the process or the flow.
For example, production environment is not ready yet.
Yeah.
Production environment applications are not ready. Okay, next.
If the
Maybe there
test
are
samples are if the test samples are expired.
Why test samples will be expired? You should not make any code change. This is one of the important thing.
Okay.
After approvals, new request came in on 23rd. Okay, and developer developed it. Code change. Okay, but testers were not able to test it and resulting a failure. Now, whose mistake is this?
nobody's mistake because
The first blunder they have made is when we are having a production deployment tomorrow, they made changes today, and that too without testing. So why the hell are we following this bullshit process of approvals? Neither the production environment code that they have given are not documented. It's just a change request. PDD is not updated. Development is done. Testing is not completed, and deployment is ready. Why the hell are we following this process? Guys, this is the blunt questions that client and whatever scrum master you have will ask you, because these people are more concerned about the solution rather than the code and the work that you do. Just remember that. Okay, if there is an involvement of lakhs of rupees and crores of rupees and the automation need to be deployed by today, and if you are not able to commit and deploy it by today, then there will be loss, and our company need to give back a RCA, which is, do you know what is root cause analysis, RCA?
root cause analysis.
yes,
Yes.
For every failure of our action, we provide RCA. See, if the code is not working in the development, we will not do an RCA. But when it is ready to be moved into deployment, and when then we stopped, when everyone are involved and said that, okay, everything is done and now we made the change, then we are providing an RCA. Root cause analysis. So I'm not going to discuss anything about root cause analysis in this training program. Just go ahead and search it and that will not come. But so root cause analysis clearly explains you why there is a failure, what are the different factors that affected this failure, how can we revert this failure and make sure that this does not happen in future. Okay, just try to analyze it, but in the questions that you will be asked, you will not be asked show me and tell me how to do a root cause analysis, but you will definitely be it will be easier for you if you just understand what is the document. Okay, because see, so this timeline is for around 15 to 20 days of work, or at least 1 to 2 months of work. If you're not ready with all these details, then of course there will be escalations. Be ready for that as well. Okay, so the testing, development, each and every part and parcel of the development phase from the initiation till the deployment is important. Don't miss anything. And with respect to the code, see, you should not have best practices of code. Don't write uh, static data. Why? So let's say the development started on 26th of February. Is that when we started our program? Now we are telling that, okay, now you are ready to go ahead. Now on 24th is the deployment date. And when I move my code to a different machine, like how I moved, see all the changes I need to make. If you give a code to someone, other than making asset changes and creation of queues, there shouldn't be any change in the code. If I just want to change this to notary queue, then again I need to go to complete process with. So after completion of approval of test plans and test scenarios and deployment, you should never test your code, never touch your code. Okay, if you're doing that, then you may need to follow the complete process again. Okay, always keep data in changeable data again, assets. Next, write modular as code. Write proper try catch statements. Then what else do you need? Let's add few more points. Now, is it possible to create some try catch statement or anything from the beginning for every project?
No.
Because every time you create some code, I need to write the same logics again. I need to see for restarts, I need to see for exceptions, I need to handle the exceptions. So, do I need to do all these things? The answer should be no. And what can be the correct practice is you can go with RE framework, because RE framework already has all these options for you. Okay, I've just copied and pasted the code now from Q to Excel. I can delete it. So this is the structure that we have. What basically we will have, a main we will have, framework we will have, and documentation and data is what we will have. Okay, one thing that he missed or we miss is, for every application try to create a folder. Okay, so whatever the code that you're writing on that application should go into that folder. So if you are writing notary, it should be inside notary folder. Or if you are writing some school, then it should be inside school. Why? Because we can segregate the code, and if I want to change something, I can easily identify where the code is available. Okay, and see, though I have the code, there is nothing that's added up in main flow. Okay, now we have 40 minutes completed. Wait for 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, we will be able to complete the RE framework. But see, the main concept is not to just learn RE framework, but to understand why each and every code is placed at that particular position. Okay. Every code or every piece of block has their own requirements, and they have specifications that this is what you need to do while you're working in RE framework. Now let's assume that in Notary dispatcher, when I start the process, okay, because this is what Vinith have given me, right? First I need to, or Vinith, should I run dispatcher and performer separately? First I need to run dispatcher and second I need to run performer. Is it right? Is it right?
Yes. So first we need to create the queue as well in orchestrator.
Okay. So what is the queue name? Properties. Let's go
So
with
if you want, like,
properties.
yeah. So we
So
can change it to notary queue. On.
see again, the code is in static. Node queue is what we need. So I'll just create node queue. I will not change it any further. I don't want to do it right now. Last minute changes, avoid them. So I'll go to my orchestrator. Load. So someone are telling that they are not able to start the bot. The reason is uh, it's not in unattended mode. Just try to delete the tenant and then recreate a tenant, or else try to find out if your machine is allocated to robot properly. Okay. Done. So let's go with orchestrator. Queues. Okay. Here we go with all the queues. So do you want me to add a new queue?
Yes.
Node queue. And should it be with unique reference or auto retry? So if it is auto retry, then the queue, if it fails, it will create itself a new item and keep it for retrying. Okay.
Okay.
And unique reference, only one item of specific reference can be available. Run the file. Code is updated or the code is completed. Let's see. Process ABCQ node queue. View transactions. Okay, I have all the transactions. But why don't I have, yeah, deadline seems to be fine. You are okay. So what he's telling is now you have the deadline. You need to complete your items before this deadline is what it's mentioned. And the place where the deadline is mentioned is here, deadline. Date time not now dot add 2 hours. So within 2 hours, all the queues should be completed. All the queue items should be completed. So when I execute for the next time, then 2 more hours will be added from the current time. And you should ideally have reference. Don't avoid reference. What can be the reference over here? SL number can be a reference over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and run the flow with respect to performer.
Can you, there is one alert inside that, Bajrang.
Okay.
So can you go to the process data application? Yeah.
Where is
At
it?
last, at last, at last,
Okay.
last flow. Yeah. In the sequence, do you see this message box? Yeah. Can you remove that? Website, yes. Yeah.
So what is this? Use it for?
Uh, yeah. This is basically for filtration in the Excel sheet.
Why? Why do you need it?
Yeah. Because there is this, the data is in such a format that for a certain district we have to select some data. So for that I have applied the filtration.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
now you can save and
can I run it?
yes, yes.
What happened?
It should open.
Okay. See, a production machine will not test your code. Remember that. Okay. Guys, please comment if this deployment is successful or failure and tell me the reason why. Tejashwar, I'm recording this session. Just go over chat and tell me why this is a failure and can I move it further.
There is an issue with the selector for get text activity.
Yeah, selectors are not found. If the code is ready to be in production, then why the hell are we having these issues? Okay. And what is the selector? Can any P selector be taken up? There can be 100 P selectors. Which one are we selecting here? Repair. So which one is it?
The third, I think it's the after once. Can you go back to the browser, Bajrang? So once you click to that browser, yeah, just can you click on submit notary? Yeah, so this is the transaction one. Yeah, this is the actually the selector. It is picking this value.
Okay. So why are we having a delay here? Why this delay is dynamic? Is not dynamic?
Because every time like once we click on submit button, so it picks the value and then it has to navigate back to the same page. So for that I have given 2 seconds of delay.
But again, if it takes more than 2 seconds, like how we did today, then
Actually, it is issue in the I think get text selectors because it won't take more than 2 seconds.
no, you should not tell that, right? You cannot be an application. How can you tell that? Okay. So here we have, so ID is we can validate. Okay, we have ID trans number. So this will be dynamic and this is the correct thing that we need to check. Now if we validate it, then it will get the correct number. Okay. But before doing that, instead of having delay, we have something called, are you using modern activities or legacy activities?
For some activities, I've used modern as well as both.
Okay. So if you are not able to find modern activities, then this is where you will find or you need to get it. Click on classic for this classic activities. On element appear. So we will wait for this on element to be available. This particular transaction number should be available. So now it will wait for 30 seconds, but that is a dynamic value. So if it is able to find it within 1 second or 2 seconds, it will continue further. It will not wait for 2 seconds even though it has the data. Okay, so A name transaction number is what the H1 we have. So we need to get the values. Okay, H1 validate. So after we have this on element appear H1, then you can go ahead and add get text item. So this is the correct way how we need to add the delays. Don't add static delays.
So on element appears like what is the time duration? Like it takes 30 seconds.
By
It gives
default,
a chance.
it will wait for 30 seconds. If it didn't find it within the time, then it will be a failure.
Okay, okay.
Okay, but it will not wait for every time only for 30 seconds or only for 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Within 30 seconds, if it finds anything, it will go ahead and come work with it.
Yeah, so that means if he gets in 2 seconds only, then he'll again get back to the main page, right?
Exactly. Now
Yeah.
you have completed the code, but there is a in progress status in progress. Why aren't these changed back to success or failure?
So this I was not able, don't know the logic to apply.
Okay, great. Thanks. So here we go, guys. And all the arguments, so none of them are arguments,
Variables.
all these are variables. Okay,
Yeah.
see, arguments should be supplied for every file for whatever it gets as an input and whatever it takes as an output. Okay, now that this is the file, what you're doing, you're just getting one queue item, get transaction item. If there is, so you're creating, so this is a flowchart where you have created some transactions, but you don't know where to create or where to commit the set transactions and all. For that, you need to rewrite the logic.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's go into RE framework and let's see. So RE framework is again a template. Remember that the code is already written. You just need to know how to
Okay. So
add the information.
I had a question like Bajrang, so that when we ran right now, so it did not proceed. But in the queue we see that the first two data is in progress. So again, if we rerun the flow, then it should start from the third one. It should not start from the third one. It should again start from the first one, right?
See,
And for the first data, it should
how are you
show progress.
picking the first one? Queues will always pick any item with new status as the first item.
Correct.
Okay. Now here the first item is this one. So it will pick the next when we process the next time. This is the new item that it will pick.
Okay.
Okay. It will not go with in progress state. In progress state is already done. Someone have already taken it. You cannot take it again.
Sorry.
Okay. So here best practices. Okay. Okay, I will explain RE framework separately, like what is what. But let's see how we are converting the code into RE framework. Again, we have already written some steps earlier: initiation state, transaction data, process state, and end process. So let's go ahead and see. In the init state, we have something called first run. Do you know what is the use of first run? Okay, so whenever I
Yeah,
It's a
it will only run for the first time.
yes, so whenever I start the machine or start the job, see, I need not read my config every time. I need not open Notary application every time. I need not set the asset values every time. So all these things should be done only once. All the code that is not involved in transactions. Transactional changes like adding assets, getting config values, initializing applications, or you can say um, getting assets, So whatever we need for the code to process, and that should be done only once. So how many times are we reading the Excel data?
Only once.
Reading input data from Excel. So all these things should go into first run. And where will be the first run? Where do we have first run?
Initialization page.
Yeah. So we need you go on mute, and Ritesh, please unmute. Answer to me. Okay. Here we have items. I just need to open init, and in that init I have something called first run. So this is the first run. Open that. So what it exactly says? Okay, it is saying that add settings and save job arguments or anything. But if you see, do we need to add dispatcher code in here? Because dispatcher code runs only once.
Yes.
Okay. So
Below
how
the
many
invoke
times are we running the dispatcher code?
only once.
Okay. Now, do I need to change the complete code for dispatcher?
Complete changes means
For example, do I need to copy this and paste it into my main for that?
no, not need. If you are you just move this dispatcher below that invoke notary. That's it.
Exactly. So I just moved the code and placed it. So when I execute the process after killing all the workflows, it will just go ahead and initialize it, and it will do only once. Okay.
Yes.
But the important step that we are missing here is this particular variable q name should be actually an argument.
Right.
Convert to argument, and that should be an in argument q name, and this should be sent from our main, because if you are having this in the notary dispatcher, if I want to change it in future, how can I do that? I cannot do it, right? So instead of that, this should be an in argument, and I need to pass in something called, now here comes the confusing part with respect to config. So can you see that there is orchestrator queue name? This is where we will add our queue name note. Is this note queue? Beneath?
Yes, President. It is not queue.
Okay. So see, we will not use our static values, but we will use our dynamic values. Okay. And whatever data that you have in the config sheet will be available at a variable called config. All the data that is available in the config sheet will be in a dictionary value called config. So guys, if you already know it, just stay calm. You will still know some things that are basic, and you may miss out. Go ahead and listen it completely. So what is a config again? It's a key dictionary. How many of you know what is a dictionary? A regular dictionary is what I'm referring to, not a UiPath or coding dictionary. Akshay? Okay.
Sorry,
Deepak?
storing the data in queue and value format
Okay, again
also.
you're going in with the code. Please go on mute. Thank you so much. Deepak, I don't want coding. Okay. Deepak says that it's a key value pair. I need a better explanation in English. In English, how can you easily explain it or give a reference?
So it's like in a normal dictionary, we have a key or we have a word, and then we have a value to it. So
Exactly.
each key is a unique key.
Exactly. Now, if you have seen in any dictionary, in any English dictionary, every word will be unique or every key will be unique, but the values can be dynamic or changing. Okay. we can't verify this person's identity. Okay, so there is someone with name Krishna. Let's go ahead and cancel him. Krishna, please join in with your credentials. Okay, so now what exactly will happen in a dictionary? We will have on the left side, we will have all the keys. On the right side, we will have all the values. The same way, you need to treat this config also. On the left side, you have name. On the right side, you have values. But here, there are descriptions for us to understand. In config, if you give out config of exception screenshots folder path, this is what you will get. In settings, if you give orchestrator queue name, so I just need to go ahead and change this in config, or just config of, I need to give the key name dot toString. So what data will be coming over here?
It will be node queue.
Because that is what we have stored in our value.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, now let's close it. Now let's save and close. Okay, now that we have completed the dispatcher process, getting all queue items and all is not required. So again, this is some separate code. Let's delete it. Okay, and here we go. So whatever the initialization that we are going to do, it's completed. And let's go with the process, and as well as in framework, there is some code called get transaction data. Okay, so whatever loop that you are using, just understand here you are performing, in the performer you are using a get queue item to get one item from the orchestrator. Is it correct?
Yes, Bajrang. Yeah.
So the code is already there for you. So you can just go ahead and delete the performer. So I'll just delete this, and building the data, opening the browser. Now, how many times should we open a browser? Every time we create it, or we just need to open it once?
Only at once.
Okay. So where should this be placed? I just need someone else to answer. Just wait.
Initialization stage.
Uh, Correct, but not correct. Let's go with Deepak. Deepak Vadhani. Where should I place this open browser? Not able to
In
answer
start,
the.
I mean, in the
Okay.
main, you can put it. And
No, I'm not sure. Okay, John.
Yes, open browser, we will be starting from initialization stage.
So again,
It will be open in background.
no, it will not be opening in the background. See, there is something called init all applications. Okay, so this is where we will need to have our opening of all the applications. Any kind of applications that we open should be going in here. Okay, so where do we need to have all the initialization of applications? All op Initializing all open application code. So again, this will be executed every time there is a failure. So that is the reason we don't have this in first run. Because if there is a failure, if it in the first run, let's assume that the bot failed, it will not open the file, open the browser again. Okay. So that is the reason in the first run, if you just observe, initialization of applications will be outside the first run. Okay. So this is a question that you need to go ahead and answer. Why init all apps cannot be inside first run? Okay, just go ahead and answer that question later. Now, see, we updated the queue, dispatcher is completed, we opened the application. Then what we need to do?
We have to get the transaction data.
Okay, so for that process, so what is the queue name? So this is the transaction item you are telling?
Yeah, I think yes.
So the transaction item is what we are getting from the orchestrator queue. So let's go ahead and save it and let's go into process. I'll just go ahead and drag and drop this performer over here. And what is the data that I'm sending in here?
Transaction item.
Yes, so the transaction item will already be in transaction item by default. Okay, so we'll discuss tomorrow on how exactly each and every variable is there. But what I'm trying to do right now is, okay, there is a code. How much time will it take to convert into RE framework code? Okay, and what are the benefits that we are going to get out of it? So open workflow, arguments. So I think we have deleted this one, right? Haven't we deleted this? Notary performer. So I just need to save it. Okay, I need to delete this one. Done. Okay, variables. Trans item should be changed to argument and save it. Now when I go to process, so what should be an in argument for here?
In transaction.
Okay. So Hemant,
Config of.
Hemanta,
Config of. Sorry.
Hemanta, can you please unmute?
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. So what should be the value that we need to pass in here? So what is the requirement of this transaction item?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay. See, every item is a transaction item for us to process, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. We need to process one item at a time and we need to get this data. Now,
Okay.
this particular information is available in a variable in an argument called in transaction item. It's not in config because transaction items will not be in config. It will be a memory location when you're getting transaction data. First you're getting transaction data. That data will be sent over here. Okay, in transaction item and save it. And that's it. The code is completed in RE framework. Do you want me to test? Let's go ahead and test it. Finally, general business exception. Okay, see here. In the init state, first run, we updated the values or we read all the config values. In get transaction data, we took the data or there is nothing we have change it here because it is coming from config. In process transaction, we haven't changed anything. The only place where we made some change is in here. We just added notary and given the transaction item for it. Other than that, we haven't made any single change. Let's run the file. So what is the expectation now? Sindura?
Did we configure assets in Orchestrator?
Assets are not there
Okay.
for this. So one thing that's happening is it is not able to identify which one to close. Okay, so the code we need to write is first, prior to each and every application, there is something called kill all process. Like how you have init all applications, there is something called first run, initialization, first run, kill all process, kill process. So what is this used for?
Kill all the existing processes so the program will start from the fresh.
Instead of saying kill all the existing process, you can say that whatever applications that you are using should be killed.
Yes.
Are we using Chrome?
Yes.
So just go with Chrome. So when I just go ahead and start with this, I can run only this file. The Chrome will be closed. Application will be closed. Okay. Now if I have any error, then it will kill the process also. And it will restart. Run. And by the way, I'm not sure how many of you have observed, the items are added. Like right now we have how many items?
33.
More than that. Yeah, 33. And now since we ran it again it will add all the items. So we
So it's a
haven't,
duplicate.
yes, we haven't checked for duplication over here. Remember that. Okay, by default, it's adding all the values. Okay.
Vachan, do we have any, if any pending items are there in the queue, do we have something called, we can mark them as exception before starting adding them into adding new items into the queue? Do we have any such method here?
Uh, can you please repeat that?
Yeah, I mean, before adding the items to the dispatcher, so before that, if there are any pending items present there, can we mark them as exception or, or or as completed, somewhat like that, so that they are not picked up in the next run?
So if the item is already picked up, then it will be changed to new, from new to in progress. Next time when it run, it will not pick any in progress item. It will just go ahead and pick only new items. So let's assume that we are checking with new, right? There are some items that are failing, if you remember. Right. Started. Can you see all these items?
Mm-hmm.
So if there is something that is failure like this in progress and in progress, it will not pick up this successful or in progress items next time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it will just pick up the next new item that's available.
Okay. Actually, my question was like in the first run, let's suppose I have 10 items in my queue, and for 5 items it was fine, but for 5 items, somehow the bot crashed, let's suppose, and then restart the bot again, and it again added the uh,
See, that's what is
log.
happening now, right? Every time you stop it, the bot is adding. So what you need to do, you need to either keep unique reference or you need to test
Mm-hmm.
whether that particular item is already available or not, and then add the item to queue.
Okay.
Okay, let's go ahead and run it again. Main. Sindra, if you're not talking, please go on mute. Task is over, no queue items is left. Where is this particular message box? Is this what we have? We should not have any message boxes in production machine until and unless it is an attended bot. And we should also not have close application over here. Close application should be there in close all applications. Okay. So see how we are segregating the code. Now the notary performer code only has the information. Just wait for a second. Why am I having all these things on different levels? Okay. The notary code that I'm having is only having information to process or to repeat. Get queue items. Okay. Get in the queue item and we are processing and performing. We are not even checking for this item. Now, can you see how quickly the code changed and how easy did it become? We are doing only one thing over here, getting the item, processing the item and closing, nothing else. Run. Okay, so we have some errors. Fine. Let's stop it for now and let's ask some questions. We'll take or correct these errors tomorrow. How many of you were able to understand how easily can we move the code to RE framework? Please speak out.
Vajrang, what is the difference between init all application and init all settings? That
In,
XAML file.
init all settings, as the name says, settings can be initialized only once for the complete execution before you
Uh,
start. Init all
uh,
applications, in case of any exceptions, the application should restart.
okay,
You will not have settings over there.
okay.
Any more questions? Please don't. So now the code is completed till now. I just need you to ask the questions. For tomorrow, these questions will be very important. And let's also note that
Ajra,
questions. Yeah.
Amit has posted a few questions in the Teams.
Okay, let me
Uh,
just go ahead and check it.
yeah, not in the Teams, in the group, WhatsApp group.
Okay.
Please answer those questions.
Okay. I have meeting now. Okay, due to some other question. Okay. Log message where and which level need to use in production. If a queue item is not completed in deadline, what will be the queue status? So if the queue item is not done within the deadline, then maybe it will move into state. It will move into success, but it will breach the SLA. So if you are going with this one, see the status will be set by our bot. Okay, but there is something called SLA for every queue. So if you go back and if you go ahead and see view transactions or edit, there is SLA for this queue. Okay, and there is a process for it, and you need to check new SLA for newly added items that don't have a deadline. So what it will do is it will not change it to failure or it will not abandon it, but it will just check or it will portray that this particular queue item did not process within the time. Okay, so you can still be able to complete the item. Log messages, which level we need to use in production. See, by default, all the log messages will be in info path. Okay, now when there is an error, which level do we need to add the logs? Is it info or anything else?
You can add it as error or one messages.
Yes. So you So if there is a warning, it means that, okay, there is an error, but the bot still be able to continue without any exception, without any stop. Okay. So what are warnings over here in our process? Just understand. Now, if our bot is executing, and let's assume that there is some pop-up. Okay. So in the code, we have written written stating that the pop-up should be closed. But in the warning, we are just mentioning that there is a pop-up that occurred. Just for our reference, stating that, okay, this is a warning, but still the code can be executed. When we need to have an error, the pop-up was not able to close and it stopped our execution. Then that's an error. What is fatal? If the browser is not able to open and there is no code execution happening at all, then it is fatal. So if you have error in init all settings, then will it be warning or error or fatal? Init all settings.
Fatal.
Why?
Because we are not able to open the browser and
So there is no further process or any steps that we can
yes,
take from then.
since
Okay,
that is the first part of the execution.
exactly. Okay, so that's why you need to check it. And if you have seen this, we did not set any error messages, right, in our code, but still we are getting the logs. So in RE framework, if there are any exceptions, there are predefined logs at some places where we can easily find out what exception and where do we have that exception. You need not write separate code for it. You can use the existing values. Did you get it now? Okay. Are the two questions answered or not? Do you still need more explanation for it? Please reply back. If you are chatting, I need to see your messages. I'm pushing the code to origin. Yeah.
What is global exception handler? Question.
Okay. Now you have, okay, I will, in main file, do you have any try catch block for the complete main?
For the complete main, no.
Okay. Then you will use global exception handler.
Okay.
Okay, but there will be only one global exception handler for the complete project. You cannot have 10 items. Okay. So what exactly it will do is, if there is any exception over a project level where that's not handled inside, then there is a concept of retrying it for 3 times, and even that you can configure. So is it really necessary to have a global exception handler is one more important question. Yes, if your application is failing without any reason, then you may need to have it. But if you know that application is static and you know all the exceptions, then there is no need for global exception handler. And if you remember, global exception handler was introduced in the year of 2021 or 20. But even before that, we had all the projects without global exception handler. Is it right?
Yes.
Okay. So that is a place where even if the project fails, we can retry it or we can log the messages where exactly it failed.
Okay. Only retrying and logging. Okay. Are we sending any exception emails also in that?
If you want code to write, you can write in the global exception handler file.
Okay.
Okay, you have some specific steps, but you can add whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. So what we will do tomorrow is let's go into the basics of RE framework and let's dig deep into each and every word and each and every variable. I thought of doing it today, but I was interested in converting the code into RE framework. So what I want you guys to do right now is use your existing codes and convert them into RE framework and bring it ready by tomorrow. Can you do that, please?
Yes, Bajrang.
Yes. So that will be easy. And notary code I have already committed. So you need to pull the changes and try to find out errors and document what kind of errors you corrected.
Okay.
Are we good on that?
Yes,
Just
sure.
yeah, just pull in the changes for all the teams. Thank you. I'm closing the recording. If you have any questions, we can